Hello, welcome to SYNKD On Air. I'm your host, Angelique Robb, and we are live courtesy of Turfs Up Radio. So hopefully you're hearing us there first, but then we're available on lots of places where you get your podcast. But today we have Lee Beecher from in-lite Lighting. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, sure. Well, we were pretty excited to see, that you've joined in-lite because of your background, because, our main audience target is for landscape business owners. So why don't we back up a few years?
Back into the archives. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go back. And I see you started Beecher Hardscapes and Landscapes in 2015. How did you get
Yeah,
into
it
the
was
industry?
right around that time. It's pretty crazy. And landscaping has always been near and dear to me. I grew up here in rural central PA, and from like the age of middle school, basically, summer times were spent, finding, summer work, making some extra bucks to go out and have fun. And the main thing to do around here was landscaping, whether it was, helping mulch in the spring or mowing, or most of the time at that age, you were weed whacking and leaf blowing, let's be honest. But
Yeah.
it just kind of grew for me. My dad built every house I ever lived in growing up, so I had a
Oh, wow.
big construction background. And for me, that was the biggest thing, was just putting the two together. In landscaping, my mom was a big green thumb, so I grew up gardening and learning about plants and learning about design. My mom also had like an artistic side, so throwing all three of those kind of things together is really what led me into landscaping. My dad owned his own business for about 12 years. He was running triaxle dump truck, which was a little bit different of a industry, but it kind of put the drive in motion for me to want to own my own business. And I did for years. Well, we were in business for about 6 years, 7 years, I believe.
Okay.
6 years until we came down. Got a little rough in COVID, which
Okay.
having good help, finding, we had some decent projects running, but having good help and keeping that good help was the toughest thing. And it really got to the point where I was starting to get burnt out. I've got 3 kids of my own, plus a stepdaughter and a wife. So like at that time I was growing a family and having
Yeah.
myself stretched so thin. It was like, man, it was one of those things where I love the industry, but the stress of it all was like, man, I really needed to find something to make the change. And luckily at that time, in-lite just happened to be looking for their first US rep. And when I started my landscape business, if you'd have asked me if I was going to be a salesperson, I'd have probably laughed at you and walked away. But that was it was crazy because I was an in-lite customer for the majority of my years in business. I think I installed a couple other lighting brands, had a few issues here and there, and then I found in-lite at one of the trade shows that I was at and tried them out, and then just stuck with them from there. And their service was always there for me. So I went out on a limb and gave them a call. I remember talking to one of the guys that I work with now whenever I called him, and I was like, hey, man, are you guys looking to, hire in the US? And he's like, yeah, actually, we're kind of looking right now. Do you have somebody in mind? And I was like, yeah, I do. He's like, oh, cool. Who you got? And I was like, me. And he's like, you're
Huh?
kidding me. And I'm like, no, I'm serious, dude. He's like, send me your resume. And, it took a few months to get the ball rolling because, at that time it was solely in Canada.
Yeah.
And then, first of that coming year, I started off, and I love it. It's been a really cool transition. It keeps me in the industry that I know and love. I'm around people that I can really resonate with. And it's nice to be, I never wanted to be, everybody doesn't want to be a salesperson because, oh, your sales reps get a bad rap, the snake oil salesman of the
Well,
21st century. But
it
when
shouldn't
you're
be like
pushing a
that, though.
product, that's
Yeah.
the thing too. When you believe in the product, as much as I do, because I know how much it helped me out, it helped me grow profit.
Yeah.
For me, that was huge. I go to work every day with a good feeling that, what I am presenting to people like who I was for years, and I'm helping them grow their business through adding another venture of, another skill set basically, and
Yeah.
making it easier for them. That's huge. And, it's
It's
a lot of fun.
Well, it's so funny because and I think you know this, but I've owned my own landscape design and build business in the UK. And so I'm now a salesman because we've launched this company that's a
Yep.
media company and event, but it
Yep.
doesn't feel like sales, just like what you're saying, because
Exactly.
like I know I'm bringing something to the market that A, people are telling me they want, but B, we're looking for innovative products and services. We're not looking to, you know, give everybody a say and we're looking for niche products that are innovating and doing things better.
Yep.
And what we're hearing is that it's hard to find those things as a business. I think business owners, like you said, you're so busy,
Oh yeah.
and I mean, you said it was hard to find good help. Do you think just did it was COVID handled differently in your state than other states? What was it particular or, I think we're all having trouble with
Yeah. Well,
hiring
and that the
people. So
help wasn't.
anything that you can say that helps our
Yeah.
audience would be helpful.
I think COVID was just kind of that was a stack on top of everything else.
On top.
I think finding good help at COVID or not COVID is just tough. The generations that come up through these days are maybe a little less inclined to do what we do. Being outside 12 months out of the year is tough, especially if you're in a full Four Seasons region or even southern regions where it gets
Louisiana.
pretty darn
Yeah.
hot in the summertime, right? I mean, I know up here it's going to be about 100 the next couple of days, and I know down south it's even worse. So
We're
obviously,
seeing, yeah,
yeah,
115 with the heat index. And you
right,
go,
right,
it's actually dangerous, you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
And people don't stop calling because it's too hot outside. It's almost an inverse relationship.
Yeah, and they all want it done yesterday, right? So that's the tough
Yeah.
part. But I think for me it was just our area. COVID, like I said, it weighed in a little bit, but it just comes down to the fact that you can only find so many processes and systems to make it easier on your guys. But when you can find the products that step in and maybe do the work of one worker or eliminate the need for that extra worker because you can make your labor a little more easier,
Yeah.
like in-lite does, you know as
How
hard
does
to
in-lite do it?
so with our connectors, that's the cool part about it, our product. And the reason that I looked into it is because you don't have to be an electrician to install the lights. They come with their own connector. You don't have to worry about splicing and making sure you connect the right wire to the right wire, matching things up. It's almost kind of mindless. I tell people the analogy, it's as simple as putting the lid back on your soda bottle, which is
Hmm.
pretty cool because that's literally how simple it is. And every
Okay.
light coming with it, their own connector. That's one less thing as a business owner I got to think about keeping stock in the trailer, keeping in the truck, or ordering more of when we need them. And when I know it comes with the light, as long as I have the lights that I need for that project, I'm good to go.
Cuts down on, yeah, inventory. Yeah,
Oh,
missing pieces. Yes.
exactly, exactly. And things like that it's cool because I would have summer help a lot. I would have those high schoolers that get out of school, and my
Okay.
nephews were a couple of them. They would come out in the summertime and they were excited to help me. But being able to be there and train them maybe on how to cut pavers or something where it takes a little bit more integration to get them to where they need to be, that you can let them go on their own with the
Yeah.
lights. It was super nice for me because I remember one summer in specific, my nephew came out and I was like, great, man, perfect day for you. I had a dozen and a half lights, and I showed him how to do the connector, and he's like, oh, I got this. And 2-3 hours later I come back, check on him, and he had it all in, and he's doing mulch around it and got it all set up, and he didn't need any help from me. So
Yeah.
as a business owner, things like that you can do to make anything easier for your employees is huge. And that's one thing
Mm.
that in-lite helped me with. And it was a big, I credit a lot of my success to things like that. In-lite, different tools that I use throughout the industry that really helped. And finding those things in our industry seems to be hard sometimes.
That's
There's a few
interesting you say
companies,
that.
they
What?
market things very well, but there's just some that it's like guys just don't know where to look or don't have the right ends to find some of the best tools in the industry.
Well, so gosh, I couldn't have asked for a better lead in, but because I mean, what we're trying to do is by connecting the sectors, I think we can help with that because we're not, you know, talking about just construction or just maintenance or just design. So, so you find that it's hard to find those things. What can we do better as an industry?
So I think, we're getting there. It's a growth period. There's a lot of new innovative products out there. I think it's guys, you know, finding the value and understanding where they need to, make that investment that at first you're like, wow, that investment seems like a lot, seems a little scary to go out and buy that piece of equipment, or start upselling that more expensive product rather than this cheaper product that's maybe a little more difficult to install. Things like that make the huge difference, and kind of taking the fear and the animosity away from the decisions like that as a business owner are huge. There's as an entrepreneur, you're taking risks every day, and it's just kind of weighing the pros and cons to each one. But I think the education that comes with each product is really more vital than the product itself, essentially. And that's one of the things here at in-lite that we pride ourselves in, and I love about this company is we don't just sell you a light and say, all right, best of luck, hope it looks good. We do a ton of training on the back end. We're always willing to help answer questions, help design projects, or come out and train your team. Like that's the biggest thing, is like, we're not just here to sell, we're here to help grow. And there's a lot of companies that do the same thing that we do, whether they're paver companies or tool companies or, green product companies that are willing to come out and teach. And really that education is more invaluable than the tools and the products themselves.
Well, and you said you've been with them since, how long have you been with in-lite? Sorry.
I'm going on just over a year and a half now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what can you say about what you see in the industry since you've been with in-lite? Like, are there different regions that are doing things differently, or some more progressive and want to try new things quicker? What do you, can you, I know it's generalizing, but I also think it's fun to generalize because we need a benchmark. So how can you,
where I'm located here, I started out in the Northeast. My region was, and other account managers in the industry, laugh because they're like, wow, that's a big region. But, as a newer company in the US, I was Virginia to Maine for a while. And now we've been blessed with, another 3 reps, some great reps that I love working with here in the US. But like, it's funny because from the northern part of my territory to the southern part of my territory, it was crazy to see just how different things were, down, Southern Virginia and now down into Charlotte and Alabama, South Carolina, those states down there, they're very still rustic. They like their brass fixtures, things are a little bit, the modern style hasn't quite bled into those regions as fast as it has up here in the Northeast, and even some in the on the West Coast, where it's really taken off out there. So it's cool to see, modern styles, and then you still have the rustic styles that modern's kind of bleeding into. I think down south, the style of modern that has made it in is kind of the modern farmhouse style that goes into
which is
designs.
not that modern, really.
So no, it's not. It's not. It's a modern twist on a rustic venture, I feel. But it's crazy because you see contractors are all trying to find something new, something to be cutting edge, right? Yeah, and that's where in-lite comes in. We have a ton of different products that show them, different ways, and even some of you find the normal lights, cap lights, hardscapers and landscapers love their cap lights. They love their spotlights, their scopes. We do those very well. But we also have things like the recessed fixtures and some modern path lights that allow them to kind of set themselves apart. And you see guys doing that, you had mentioned it earlier, like we have guys that are strictly just decks. We have guys that are strictly just hardscapes, or guys that are strictly just landscape and irrigation. You're starting to see those companies become one company more often than not now, because guys want to be able to, design the full spectrum. Like you go into a blank slate backyard and you're like, man, I want to be able to build that deck. I want to be able to build this patio, and I want to be able to make sure it's landscaped properly. And they want to make sure they can do it quickly efficiently, but also with that high quality that somebody that does each project separately would be able to do, right? So
Yep.
that's where the education is becoming so important, because without it, the fear is then the industry is going to have a bunch of, we like to call them chuck with a truck, that shows
Yep.
up and bids the job and tries to do everything. And then you have things like unsafe decks or faulty patios or landscapes that don't live through more than one season. So the education that is driving, these guys to build these full service companies is paramount. It's huge. And, finding companies to partner with, that do those education and do them well, and thoroughly is huge.
Oh, great.
So
Well, we always like hearing that, because part of what we're doing is trying to educate people. So,
right. That's right.
well, good, good. Well, what is your favorite product at in-lite?
That is, that's a loaded question, let me tell you. So
Or,
recess fixture, I
okay,
kind of have one for each little genre that we
I was gonna
sell.
give you a genre. That's what I was gonna, yeah, try to help you. But you go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for the recess fixtures, I love the puck 22s. They're the only recess fixture we have sticks up a little bit above, the surface. They're great for like deck risers. They stick out. They kind of do a 360 light rather than the straight out light. Not that I don't love
So
our
it doesn't
fusions or hive. The other
go
ones,
in your
yeah,
eyes. Yeah.
right. Now the other ones don't as much, they're not blinding. There's certain applications for each of them, but I just think they look really cool. They look really modern, and they add a nice little unique flair to the projects. As far as path lights go, it's a solid tie between our sway, which is a non-rigid light that actually moves a little bit in the wind, which is nobody's
Ooh,
doing
like a
that.
grass.
Yeah, they look so good in like sway grass, sawgrasses along walkways, or any kind of grass
Okay.
like that you can put them right in the middle, and they'll kind of just move with the grasses a little bit, and it adds that dynamic factor to your landscape design that is just,
Yeah.
you're not going to find it anywhere else. And then obviously, being a hardscaper, near and dear to my heart is the average cap light, right? Our Evo Hide 180s. I just, cap lights are, if you're doing hardscape projects that have any kind of wall or ledge and you're not lighting it up, you're missing out. That's a very good opportunity to add some extra profit to a
So,
job, and it's a wow factor. If you're not highlighting these things with lights, you're
yeah.
missing it.
Well, and your background that you have
Yep.
there shows you quite well how, lighting up the features can give you that wow factor of people passing by the front of your house. But, it's funny. So I worked in Scotland for many years, and the winters are dark,
Yep.
because it is, I think it's at the same latitude as Alaska
Mm-hmm.
up there. And so I actually would say, we have like 4 to 5 months of darkness.
Right.
If
Right.
you have any windows out to your landscaping, it'll make your house feel bigger by lighting
Right.
up something outside. And it's, it's unusual, when you're barely going outside in the dark, to actually be able to enjoy your landscaping from inside your house is really important, I
Oh
think,
yeah, and that's a huge design point. We go over that in our design trainings all the time as focal points. And most of the
Mhm.
time when you think of a focal point in a landscape, it's not just when you're standing out in the landscape, right? Go in the house, look out the windows, and say, all right, from here, like if you're going into somebody's house and you just designed their landscape and you go to their biggest window in their most popular room, and the first thing you see is the pump house for the pool, probably designed something a little bit incorrectly, right? So, making sure that your
Good
focal
example.
points, yeah, I mean, it's the worst case scenario, but it's the first one that comes to mind. So, and the same thing goes for lighting. It goes for plannings. It goes for just, conversation pieces and focal points. Like, you want them to be the forefront of your most common, vantage points to that landscape, and that's inside and outside the home. So being able to light it up, and just like you said, that adds that extra few feet. You don't feel like you're kind of in a cell inside your home when you can really look out your window and see, a beautiful landscape that's going to live in the dark and the light, right?
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, I love that you are selling as a previous business owner. I think that's really powerful. And I think that, it does make you see things from a different point of view. And yeah, look forward to working with you some more. I know you guys are going to be at Sync Live, so maybe you'll make it down to Atlanta, do you think?
I hope so. I hope to be on the team this year. I know last year I think there was a little bit of overlap in some of the shows we had going on, but I do look forward to hopefully making it down this year, myself and a couple of the other reps. So
Good,
yeah,
good. Well, we look forward to having you. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, and we will talk to you some other time. Thanks for joining us on Sync Live, and maybe we should say the in-lite website is
absolutely. So you can reach in-lite at in-cider, that is in-sider.com.
okay. Great. Thank you so much. Talk to
Thank
you
you.
later. Bye,
All right.
Lee.
See ya.